likes me. Nobody likes me. But that's okay, cause I don't like y'all anyway. And I don't like y'all anyway.
We need to pay attention to all this stuff. And don't muddy the waters. Don't let your mind get sidetracked. Because you need to remember that when, it's going to be time to vote again soon. So it's going to be local elections, all this stuff, everything, all these elections. You have to remember that the Republicans would rather collude with Russians than collude with Americans.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Donald Trump is a white supremacist who enables white supremacists. No lie. I mean, that's accurate. It's an accurate assessment of the situation.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Dragnets. How do they work? Just say no. Yeah. Here's the problem with just saying no. You can go about your life trying not to do drugs, but you turn on the news and you see Wigmaster over there talking about public health emergencies. That's why drugs are hard to stop. Because of people like that. Big week. It's always a big week. Can't we please have an uneventful week? That's all I want. All I want is one.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Oh, Jay, why are you wearing that resist shirt? What are you resisting? Bunch of isms and trees. Bigotry, misogyny, racism, fascism, and sexism. The people here are the people on the South Shore, in the rich neighborhoods, the richer neighborhoods, not the poor neighborhoods, are brought up on bigotry, hatred, and classification of, societal roles.
Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What goes on, peeps? It's Friday. It's at or around 6 o'clock, and we are back with another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. My name is Jay Porks. This is the second of 2 podcasts that I host per week. Every Monday, we go through the Jay Porks podcast. We hit you with all the latest, all the late breaking news from the regime. We cover, all the things that the GOP is doing to hurt society. We cover all the things that the regime is doing to discredit democracy and elections and basically destroy the foundation of our country. We have all this stuff going on, and we cover all of that on the Jay Porks podcast weekly. But things have gotten so hectic, things have gotten so out of control, so wacky, that we decided that the Jay Porks podcast needs a pre-show. It needs a prelude. It needs Dyze in your house. And that's what I do on Fridays at or around 6 o'clock. Right here on East Coast Radio. You can subscribe on iTunes. Oh, look at this. I'm so cool now. You go to iTunes, you type in East Coast Radio, or you type in Jay Porks, or you type in or you type in Jay Porks, Dyze in your house, type in my government name, type in East Coast Radio, type in whatever you want to do. Even if you might type in Constant Confessions, it might come up, I don't know. But either way, type that in, you hit subscribe, and then you will get hit with all the latest and breaking from Jay Porks headquarters here on the East Coast, in North Texas, also known as Staten Island, New York. Okay, so we got a lot of things breaking today. Listen, man, first of all, I want to apologize to everyone who tunes in to the Jay Porks podcast, like, randomly now, that we've gone so far deep into this. But if you're not paying attention, every week we cover in depth. We cover Russian meddling, Russian collusion, Robert Mueller's investigation. We cover that every week on the Jay Porks podcast. We also cover how tax cuts are going to impact your life negatively. We also talk about how women and minorities are discriminated against because they're not old white men. We talk about all of that stuff. We are anti-fascist, so in getting caught up in all of that, I realize that some people may be lost. So if you're ever going to tune into the Jay Porks podcast, all you're going to do is keep in mind about this. What I'm doing is I'm taking what's actually happening in the world, the breaking stories, I'm taking all of that, and I'm filtering it down, trying to putting it through a funnel, and for a place where my friends can understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk to you like I would talk to my friends, because you are my friends, and I love you guys. And I'm so glad that, like, people let me come into their life and talk to them about stuff. So today, Robert Mueller indicted 13 Russians, and we can't even talk about it on the Jay Porks podcast. Not on the Jay Porks. We are going to talk about it on the Jay Porks podcast, but we can't talk about it today on Dyze in Your House. I will eventually not get them mixed up all the time. Dyze in Your House, Fridays, today. Now, as you know, I've been talking about Russia for a year. Over a year I've been talking about Russia. It's always been a thing, and we are going to talk about that thing that is a thing more on After the Weekend, on a Not My President's Day edition of the Jay Porks podcast. But right now we got to talk, you know what we got to talk about? And, you know, the background music I use, which is really cool, is 50 Cent, and the name of the song is Your Life's on the Line. And you know what, guys? Your life is. I can't talk about Russian meddling. I can't talk about Robert Mueller indicting 13 Russians because guns. Because you people want guns. And you people think that having guns is a safe and American thing to do. You people thought that muskets are AR-15s. AR-15. So my friend Misha, not Misha Flynn, but my friend Misha who he works on the Meat Puppets website, you know, he backstage stuff. I saw this on his Facebook, so I decided to share it. Here are some stats that are going to piss you off. In Florida, an AR-15 is easier to get than a handgun, legally. Pro-Russia bots are flooding social media right now. Florida shooter is a vocal supporter of Trump. The top 20 politicians receiving money from the NRA are all Republicans. America has in excess of 3 times more guns per capita than our nearest comparable ally/Western country. Conservatives say that this is a mental health issue. Conservatives that say that this is a mental health issue are gutting medical and mental health care, and Trump repealed H.J. Resolution 40, which attempted to slow the sale of guns to people with mental illnesses. Smith & Wesson alone, the company by itself, sold $500 million in assault rifles in 2011. In 2011. Imagine what that number is today. Estimates based on what NCIS data puts the number of assault rifles around 2.5 million in the United States. In 2018, 9 children from ages 0 to 18 are shot every day, or 1 child every 3 hours. So, murder, your life's on the line, and your kid's life is on the line. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little callous towards the school shootings now. And that's sad. Us as Americans, we see this and we're like, oh, I can't believe it happens again. Like, you kidding me? When Columbine happened, they pulled Eminem's album off the shelves. Like, you know what I'm saying? They were bleeping words in songs. It was the biggest thing ever. Now, Columbine isn't even in the top 10. It's no longer in the top 10 of mass school shootings anymore. And it was the premier school shooting. So it gets me mad. So I was mad at first, like, because, like, oh, man, I'm looking at the TV. I'm like, I want to watch, like, you know, anti-fascist TV. I mean, I get it. You know, people got shot. But we're gonna say the same thing we always say, you know? Oh, is this the time to talk about it? Are we really gonna talk about gun control instead of grieve for the families and the victims? And we're gonna send our thoughts and prayers, and then it's gonna happen again. And we're never gonna have an opportunity to talk about this. And I understand that. I know that that's what politicians are doing, which is why I was upset when they were covering it in full instead of, you know, giving me some Mueller investigation stuff, you know? I want them to be reporting on why Jared Kushner still has, although be a temporary, security clearance. Why is that guy allowed to leave the country? I want to know. But instead, I have to sit here and talk about guns. Something that kills everybody. Something that helps nobody. Besides, like, the army. I am not a gun guy. I have never been a gun guy. And I try to, like, you know, people always want to tell me hunting. Okay, fine, hunt. Who's hunting with an AR-15? That's not real life. Deer don't move that fast. And if they did, then you know what? Maybe hunting is fun if you have to catch them, you know? I just don't... An AR-15. This guy, this 19-year-old kid who was... let's just... And again, I just want to say another thing. Since he's not brown, he's mentally ill. But if he was brown, he would be a terrorist. Why is this not terrorism? Why is it not? Somebody tell me. Somebody answer. Does it have all of the terrorist elements? A white supremacist group has claimed that this dude was a member of them. It's come down to like... It's come down to some... It's sad. I'm not a gun guy. But if you want to say you want to go hunting, okay, keep your shotgun. I don't get this whole notion that if everybody has guns, everybody's safer. The whole guns don't kill people, I kill people thing. That's not real. That was a funny shirt that Happy Gilmore's ex-boss wore to the golf tournament in a movie that was pretend. Assault rifles. Legally purchased. It's not like this kid went on the street and, you know, was in, you know, went to some troubled youths, you know, in the back of a truck, you know, like Breaking Bad style, and bought some guns. This is not Frank Castle robbing, you know, the gun guy. This is not what that was. This 19-year-old kid legally bought an AR-15 and a whole bunch of magazines, which was then well, it wasn't converted to automatic, but it could have been with the bump stocks that still exist. See how bump stocks is still a thing? Let me just tell you this. Marco Rubio's out here saying that we shouldn't talk about gun laws now because we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. I know a kid ran into a school and shot it up. That's what I know. And you know what I also know? The NRA gave $3 million to the Rubio campaign, or to Marco Rubio in general over his political career. That's only second to, that's third, behind McCain at $7 million, and Trump at $33 million. But again, the $33 million that the NRA backed Trump for was actually funneled into the NRA by Russia, but that's something we can't cover today because of guns. Because people go to schools and shoot people. So all we're talking about is, oh, disgruntled. And it comes down to this, like, you see people on TV, and you got a couple of talking points now. Different talking points, actually. One is, you really have to watch these kids. You know, if kids seem loners, you know, if they're always... Look at their drawings, their writings. What, we're all child psychologists now? I got an idea to help stop people from shooting people. Stop making guns! I mean, if you melt down all the guns, it doesn't matter what poetry Sylvia Plath's long-lost grandson is writing in his textbook. Doesn't matter. Oh, well, if somebody's alone, you need to reach out to them, and you need to tell somebody, tell a teacher, tell a counselor. I'm sorry. There is not one problem that has ever been solved in my life by telling a teacher. telling a counselor. Let me tell you a little story about high school for me. I had a counselor, guidance counselor. I went to her office. I had one conversation with this woman, and she said to me, you know, when you turn 16, you can drop out. Guidance. So don't tell me that anybody working in a school has the ability to guide someone into not shooting up a school or doing something crazy, because anybody working in a school is stupid for choosing that line of work. It's a ridiculous line of work that takes away your whole life for no money, and you're not normal. You're a glorified babysitter. You have to deal with people's kids all day for no money. That is not a job that anybody wants. That is not a job anybody smart gets. Hence why I work at a school. So now we have to watch for the warning signs. I just did the most obnoxious air quotes there in the world. We have to watch for the warning signs. I gotta tell you, I got like 3 kids who got warning signs already. I'm about to go to the principal and say, hey, this kid, I'm scared of this kid. He's gonna be, I would say, the next Columbine, but it's not. It's not Columbine. It's not even in the top 10 anymore. Unreal. I want to follow up on my Bolt Bus sent me an email back to my crappy bus trip I took on Sunday night. I can't talk about that because guns. Because you people like guns. Bought this gun legally. Now, talking points are we have to watch for the warning signs. Also, now, it's not like people are saying we need, well, they're tweeting gun reform now. We do need it. But people know that that's a lost cause. So what they're doing now is, I hear, we're going to make schools safer. We're going to make schools safer. Now listen to that, listen to that. No mention of guns. Let me brainstorm. Let me tell you a little story. Let me tell you how this is going to go down with Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos at the helm. Okay? You know how they're going to make schools safer? Not by enacting, you know, common sense gun laws. Common sense gun laws. Not by enacting that. They're not going to do that. That would be silly. The Senate's not going to do that. The House isn't going to do that. I don't know. Like Matthew said the other day, maybe we can have a third house of government that might actually vote on some bills. Maybe we can do that. But we're not. Because all these people, all the Republicans control the House now. They control the Senate. They control the executive. And they are all backed by NRA funds. So we are not going to see responsible gun reform. And it's not going to happen anytime soon. So this brings me to this point, making schools safer. You know what they're going to do? They're going to give teachers guns. That's right. And I was talking to this because my class is 8th graders, you know? Because think about this. I was telling these kids, yo, like, I'm desensitized to this already. Because I live in America. And people get shot all the time. And it's crazy. And it's sad that I'm desensitized to it. But, you know, I'm desensitized to a lot of things. I'm a angry person in general, jaded. But think about this. Think about this for a second. I was watching a teacher on Rachel Maddow talk about the moment in which she realized it was no longer a drill. And that moved me, man. That was like, I was like, what if that was me? What if that was my school? Now, I know I hate all these parents. I know I hate all the parents that, you know, send their kids to my school. But some guy, you know, and I know all the teachers are Republicans and I can't stand their views and they're probably part of the reason why guns are still a thing. But at the same time, like, you know, imagine if somebody ran in there. What are we going to do? They asked me, Jason, what would you do? Would you shit your pants? Yes. Yes. Oh, why would we hide in a closet when we could just run out the window? So, in case you were wondering, the school I work at has not had active shooter drills. They're gonna give teachers guns. Let me give you a look into the day, okay? My school has smart boards now. They're like flat screen TVs that hang on like over the chalkboard. It's like a 50-inch or whatever. It's maybe, it might be 70. It's huge. It's like you can write notes on it with like your finger, you know, like, and you can erase, and you can go on the web, browse, yada yada yada. You could Chrome, if you were smart, you can Chromecast from your laptop to that, but teachers aren't smart, so they don't do that. But I watched a teacher for a half hour try to figure out how to hook up her laptop to the smartboard via the USB cable to watch To Kill a Mockingbird on Friday. Took a half hour. She couldn't hook up a laptop to a smartboard, and they want to give her a gun to protect kids. Let me poke a hole in the theory of all teachers having guns being safe thing. That is one more gun per classroom that crazy kid with the notes, with the poetry, with the angry drawings, that's one more gun that a child has access to go kill a bunch of people. I wanted to have fun today. I wanted to talk about Mueller indictments. I wanted to talk about Russia. I wanted to talk about immigration. I wanted to talk about taxes. But instead, I had to talk about a thing I hate and that I think should be gone. An amendment that no one understands. An amendment that doesn't make sense in 2018. You don't need a gun. Like one of these kids at this school was commenting, he's like, we have to, you know, in the future we gotta make sure we don't get anyone mad. What? How about melt down the guns? I mean, listen, guys, I can continuously tell you. I can continuously give you things. Give you reasons. But anybody that thinks that gun reform, that we need at least common sense gun reform to keep it out of the hands of the mentally ill, to keep it out of the hands of criminals. Like the fascist regime signed a bill making it easier for people with mental health problems and medical issues to obtain guns. And then they said that they were going to do whatever they can to make schools safer. Well, that's a perfect example of what they say versus what they do. Because what they did was make it easier for mentally ill people to get guns. What they said was that they were going to stop it. Again, we've been had by the government. And the Russian bots thing, we'll get more into this on Monday. The Russian bots are all over the internet, and they are pushing pro-gun propaganda right now on the internet. They're doing that in addition to their release the memo propaganda, and in addition to their, now they're on the no collusion propaganda, because apparently 13 people getting indicted means that you're innocent, but okay, I mean, you know, witch hunts don't usually end in over a dozen indictments. 3 guilty pleas. Soon, Rick Gates is flipping. We're going to talk about that on the J Parks podcast on Monday. But right now, guys, you have to go on the Twitter machine and just tweet at your local politician, call them up, say we need gun reform, we need common sense gun laws, and we need them now. And that's just really it. I mean, if a child... Let me get that stat one more time before we get up on out of here. 9 children below 17 years old are shot every day. 1 child is shot every 3 hours in America. J Porks, Dyze in your house.